Of Mystery Monday. As always, make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy Mystery Mondays and want to see more. Subscribe to my channel so you can, and let's just go ahead and get started. So today's case is probably one of the most horrible and the saddest case that I have actually looked into so far, and that is the case of the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders. On the morning of June 13th in 1977, Michelle, Laurie, and Doris were all aged between 8 and 10, and they were all sexually molested and murdered. The three girls were all Girl Scouts, and June 13th was actually the first day of their camp at Camp Scott. The camp, which was located in Lotus Grove, was open since 1928 for Girl Scouts specifically to come and camp and enjoy the outdoors and explore the outdoors. 2 months before the murders took place, one of the tents at Camp Scott was ransacked, and they stole some donuts and left the empty donut box with a note inside. The note that was left basically said that 3 girls on the camp would be murdered, but it was dismissed as a prank, so no one really thought anything of it. They just thought it was some dumb prankster who wanted to scare everyone at the camp. So on June 12th in 1977, the girls loaded onto a bus in Tulsa and drove 40 miles to reach Camp Scott for their 2-week stay. Laurie, Doris, and Michelle shared tent number 8, which was in the Kiowa unit, which is where their group was staying. And tent number 8 was the most remote of all of the tents, and you couldn't actually see it from the counselor's tent. A little past midnight, one of the camp counselors, Carla Willett, said she was woken by a loud noise. She said it was something between a frog and a bullhorn, and was kind of like a low guttural sound. She woke another counselor, Dee Elder, to see if she had heard the noise, but Dee said that she hadn't. The day before, on the 12th of June, the counselors had seen some strange men walking around that they were a little bit frightened by, so Carla did decide to go and check the camp out with her flashlight. She didn't notice anything out of the ordinary, so she ended up just going back to bed. I will say that she shone her flashlight towards all of the tents, and when she shone her flashlight, it was said that the noise kind of like stopped, so she ended up going back to bed. And a few other people that were staying at the camp said that they saw a strange orange light that night. At 6 a.m. the next morning, Carla was on her way to the showers when she noticed the 3 bodies of the girls on the side of the trail 150 yards from their tent. Alongside the girls, they found tape, rope, a gag, and a flashlight. What they didn't find, weirdly enough, was one of the shoes from one of the victims' bodies. And what makes this fact even weirder is that later on during the investigation, when there was hundreds of people searching for the girls and people that set up camp, like police officers that had set up camp in the camp to look for the girls, and there was manhunts everywhere, the shoe was returned to the camp and nobody saw who did it. Nobody saw anyone put the shoe back. Somehow the killer managed to return the shoe while there was manhunts and searches going on. And something that I want to mention, which is pretty crazy and totally unacceptable, is that Michelle's parents actually had no idea how she died. They found out from the news. So when authorities went to their house, they actually told them that she was in an accident. So they had no idea what had happened to their daughter or how it had happened until they watched the news. By 7:30 a.m. on June 13th, police arrive and the investigation into the murders begins. And by 10 a.m. the same day, Camp Scott is evacuated and closed down, and it has never reopened since. Okay, so now let's talk about some of the facts and some of the evidence. From the investigation, it was determined that Laurie and Michelle had been struck and killed inside of their tent, and that Doris had been taken into the woods before she was murdered. So Laurie and Michelle died of blunt force trauma, and Michelle died from asphyxiation. All tape and cord was removed from the bodies after the murder and before they were found, and it appeared as though Doris and Laurie had been sexually molested. On the wooden floor of the tent, it seems as though whoever murdered the girls tried to wipe it up with a mattress and towels, and then they tried to stuff the materials into the sleeping bags. Military boot footprints were found inside the girls' tent, and it was also found that whoever it was that murdered these girls also managed to break into the camp counselor's tent. While they were in there, they stole a purse and some eyeglasses, and it was determined that they basically walked through the entire camp to get to tent 8. So they walked past the counselors, they walked past everyone else in the Kiowa unit to get to the tent 8. In a cave not far from Camp Scott, they found a few other pieces which they thought were related to the murders. They found tape, they found a plastic bag which was similar to that which was wrapped around the flashlight which was found near the girls' bodies. They found 2 photos of women, they found eyeglasses. They also found a newspaper which was the same edition as a piece that had been found near the girls' bodies. There were also DNA tests that took place, but they didn't really help at all. There were 3 fingerprints that were found on the girls. However, all of the fingerprint testing and DNA testing that took place in 1987 was inconclusive. In 2002, the fingerprints and DNA were tested again, but they were too deteriorated to come up with an accurate result. In 2007, a semen sample from the girls' bodies was tested, but there were no results. There was a partial DNA sample from a female, but it was unable to tell whether this was from the girls themselves. Further, Jack Schroff, who owned a ranch less than a mile away from the camp, said that his home had been burgled and a few items had been stolen. So sniffer dogs led investigators to Jack's home. When his house was searched, they found a roll of duct tape and rope which matched the items which were found at the girls' bodies. Several rocks, a tire tool, and a crowbar were also found at the residence, but none of these were able to be determined if they were linked to the girls' murders. Detectives also found a footprint which matched the one that was inside the tent. And for a short while, Jack actually did become a suspect. He took a polygraph and test, and I guess they ruled him out as a suspect because of that. So that is pretty much all of the evidence. I've probably forgotten some because this case is huge, and when researching, it's actually kind of confusing to research. I guess a lot of places and the evidence is all over the place, so it's kind of hard to put everything together. So I'm sure that I've forgotten some, and if you know anything about this case, feel free to put that down below. But now I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about the major suspect in this case, which was Gene Leroy Hart. There was another man that was questioned before Gene as a suspect. He was found 7 miles from Camp Scott. I don't know what his name is, but he was basically living out of his car. They questioned him and then they decided that he wasn't a suspect. I just thought I would mention that. So Gene had previously actually been to jail for kidnapping and rape in 1966, but he was let out on parole in 1969, which in my opinion is disgusting. Not long after he was let out on parole, he was sentenced to another 50 years in the Mays County Jail for burglary. There was 4 different burglaries which happened in Tulsa, which he was tied to and then convicted for, but he managed to escape from this jail 4 years before the Girl Scout murders took place. So Gene was tied to these murders because the 2 photos of the women which was found in the cave were actually taken by a prison guard at the Mays County Jail, and Gene is the one who helped to develop them. Gene's mother lived not far from Camp Scott. Gene was raised in Lotus Grove. He was an outdoorsman, and from hundreds of leads that police received and looked into, most of them led to Gene. After connecting him to the photos that were found of the 2 women, police searched for him for 10 months before finally apprehending him. And they found him at the home of a Cherokee native. So Gene, important to mention, is also a Cherokee. Now here's where it gets a little complicated. So in the area that Camp Scott is native to a lot of Cherokees. They are native to the land and have been there since forever, basically. So in the search for Gene, they had bloodhounds in searching for him. They had they were sniffer dogs searching for his scent, trying to find him, and a medicine man who was like a Cherokee native as well. He's part of the Cherokee natives. He said that he placed a curse on the bloodhounds and that they would soon die. And he placed this curse between the 16th and the 18th of June, and weirdly enough, on the 18th of June, one of the bloodhounds died, and actually I'm pretty sure several of the sniffer dogs did pass away. So as I said, Hart was actually apprehended, and when he went to trial for the murders. Unfortunately, he was acquitted because there was insufficient evidence to tie him to the murders. He did, however, end up back in jail for a 300-year sentence for the crimes that he had previously committed. I guess a lot of the evidence seemed to point to Gene, especially at this point in the video. You guys probably think so much of the evidence points to him, but there were a few inconsistencies with him being the murderer. So the first is that Gene had previously had a vasectomy, so his friends and family who believed that he was innocent, which they really believed that he was innocent, they said that it couldn't possibly be him, the semen and the sperm couldn't possibly be him because of his vasectomy. Although Gene did end up passing away from a heart attack not long after he started his new jail sentence. He was working out and ended up dying from a heart attack. But after he died, they performed an autopsy and found that the vasectomy was actually not successful. The footprints that were found inside the tent did not match Gene's. They were too small to be his foot. And the thumbprint that was found on the flashlight could not be, it wasn't, when DNA tested it, compared to Gene's thumbprints, it was not a match. It was also widely agreed that more than one person was involved in this murder. In fact, there was actually 2 different knots that were used in these murders when tying up the girls, so it's highly probable that there were 2 murderers. So even if Gene was involved, we still don't know who the other killer was. This could mean, which I've heard some people believe, that one of the Cherokee natives could have been involved, which is why they actually helped him out and put a curse on the dogs and why they were trying to defend him. But honestly, I'm not 100% sure. He is pretty much the main and only real suspect. No one else has any idea to this day who could have done this, why they would have done this. So that is everything that I have for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think of this case. If you have any theories as to what happened, whether you think Gene did it or not, I would love to hear your opinions. And so that brings us to the end of today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. Make sure to give it a thumbs up if you do want to see more of this series. Comment down below your thoughts and opinions on the case and any evidence that you may have that I might have missed. And definitely feel free to comment any cases that you would like me to cover in next week's Mystery Monday. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and hopefully I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!